Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Hi, this is Nick Anastasiou, story editor on Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Bad Batch. And you are listening to Aggressive Negotiations.
Welcome to Aggressive Negotiations, a special quick hit episode that we are going to bring to you as we start cooking all of the food for Thanksgiving, which is going to be coming to you next week. We can't wait to get that episode to you, but there was just one question I wanted to ask Matt here on Aggressive Negotiations. I'm, of course, John Mills. Pleased that you're here with us. Welcome to our home, our virtual home here in the Star Wars galaxy, where we explore everything from Life Day to whatever they celebrate on Corellia. And Jedi Master Matthew Rushing, it's a joy to have you here the week before Thanksgiving. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, man. And I'm kind of excited because I always love those episodes where you're like, hey, I got a question for you. And I'm like, okay, sure. And so I don't know what we're going to be talking about tonight, but I bet it's going to be awesome.
Well, I hope so. But I can also tell you that my question is, why aren't people going out there and giving us a rating and review over on Apple Podcasts? Please go ahead and do that.
That's an excellent question.
Interact with the show at the Jedi Masters on X, and go on over and find the Nerd Party on Instagram and Facebook. And so here's the question for tonight. Because I was thinking about this. Every place I'm going nowadays hands me a card, scan this QR code, give us a rating. Scan this QR code, give us a rating. We ask for ratings and all of those sorts of things. In the Star Wars galaxy, how impossible would it be to get reliable online ratings for establishments, given the wide-ranging nature of the galaxy? Is it possible that the Star Wars galaxy is proof that no matter what, eventually you get back to the point where you can only rely on word of mouth from people you know personally?
I think this is a great question, and I like it. I'm glad you brought it up because, you know, I was thinking about just as a thought process, right, as you asked this, Dex's Diner. What do the reviews look like for Dex's Diner?
It's not 5 stars.
And yeah, and how do people know how to go there, right? And a place, and I think this is the kind of the question that you're getting at in some ways, right? It's like, in a place as large as Coruscant, like how does a place like that exist and stay in business, right? And so is there, you know, Coruscant Yelp? Is there something like that that gets people interested in places? Is there like a Google reviews? You know, I don't know. But so I want to postulate that every planet, you know, you have the HoloNet. Mm-hmm. So I postulate that every planet has its own section of the HoloNet that's devoted specifically to that place where these type of things can happen, right? And so, you know, you have Coruscant, right? And for Coruscant, maybe there's even sectors of Coruscant because it's so big, right? So when you visit that section of Coruscant, you go to that specific section of the HoloNet that's devoted specifically to that, and you could say, look up restaurants. And if you're like looking for a restaurant, it would let you know what restaurants were in that area, what type of food that they served. Would they serve your type of species that, you know, because not every species could eat everywhere, I don't think. And then people can also, just like they do now, they leave ratings. And, you know, that can be a good thing, or it could be a really bad thing.
So what you're saying to me is that you envision a HoloNet, you know, we're using that in place of internet at this point, wherein the geo-targeting, the geolocation is such that you don't access reviews for Alderaan while you're on Coruscant. You go to Alderaan, you hook up to that subnet, and then there's basically truly proving that it's a horrific galaxy, like a Reddit for each planet where people give personal recommendations and ask questions, which to me is truly a horror beyond words.
Yeah. So I guess I'm not thinking specifically that it's a Reddit, right? Because I think Reddit is, it's slightly creepy, and I don't know if we really want to go there. We don't want this to end up as a 4chan either. It's even worse. So what we need this to feel like is basically is just, that when you go to each planet, it recognizes where you are, and then the HoloNet specifically allows you, it already filters for just the search parameters for that planet, right? And then you could put in other parameters, like, if you're looking for collectibles on Coruscant, Lucian's shop would show up, and it would let you know if you've got a lot of, and then the amount of dollar signs or whatever, credits, because it wouldn't be dollar signs, whatever the credit, iconography would be, it would be like 12 of those because that place is probably so expensive.
But I'm saying that there would be such a volume of it, and that stuff we all know. Like, let's bring it back to Earth for a second. With Amazon, with Google reviews, with all of these reviews that we encounter, I can tell you that the generation behind us and behind that generation are so skeptical because they're so aware of how manipulated all of that stuff is, and people do manipulate the hell out of it, that I'm saying that it would then turn into a thing where nobody would trust what is on this system that you're talking about. Where sure, use precise location. I'll serve up recommendations based on where you are. Sure. But that's going to be something that most people, I think, would have tuned out and said, I can't trust that to begin with. And so that's why I'm saying, like, it would be something where it would still exist, but people would not put a lot of value in the star rating. So to get to your point about Dex's Diner is alive because people go out and evangelize for it. They say this place is great, this place is great, this place is great. Also, probably Dex is dealing in info based on his interaction with Obi-Wan, probably supplants his income. But it's that sort of thing. I'm just seeing that the Star Wars galaxy really seems to tap into the idea of what we might be hitting with, where the worthwhile data that we're getting out of these services, we're all getting back to the point where it's like, I can't trust that to begin with. So I'm going to go talk to somebody and say, where should I go?
And I would push back just a little bit on that. And the reason is because I think one of the things that it's pretty clear in the Star Wars universe is that things are a lot more analog than they are here in the world we live in, the world we inhabit. And I maybe, just maybe, we haven't quite gotten there just yet with the Star Wars universe, in the sense that maybe they found a way with their, especially, I think of like an Imperial technology, right? They're cutting out all the actual crap reviews or whatnot, and so I don't know.
Best of luck. That's never going to happen. Sorry.
I definitely picture that being the Empire, right? Like that they would definitely be doing that because they don't want people actually giving away what's happening. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think it really truly is an incredibly interesting question, because you think about and this is where I think Star Wars like Star Trek kind of deals with every planet as a homogenized thing in many ways. And, all people from Naboo are the same, and, you've got your Gungans, and then you have your humanoids there, but they're really not all that different, in their groups, they're pretty much all the same. And yet we know how variety that the Star Wars universe is. And so, there has to be, there has to be something like this, because there is so much to this galaxy, right? So it feels like it's a must to be able to have some sort of system that helps you find things, especially when we're talking about planets as big as, again, Coruscant, right?
Yes. I think, I guess the distinction, I agree with you on that. I'm thinking of it more focused in terms of like the reviews, that people wouldn't trust them anymore. Like it would have hit a point where people would know how manipulated they were. So I think maybe there's a middle ground sort of here where we're talking past each other, in the sense that, like, I think we're both saying the same thing, where I'm like, I get it. Yeah, absolutely. You'd have to go look it up, but then you'd see something that would have like 4.5 stars, but it's like, or even lower, because I would get back to an experience that my wife and I had on vacation where we looked up a place and it had a 1-star, somebody had given it a couple of 1-star reviews, but overall it was pretty healthy. And we actually dug into the 1-star reviews, and I actually started laughing because there's people that just had personal beef because their kid was being a jerk. And the manager came over and was like, hey, could you calm your kid down? And the guy went on this huge screed where he's like, my grandchildren behave perfectly, and he had no right to come over. I was like, I don't know, Grandpa. And so we wound up having some of the best Greek food we've ever had. So, there you go.
There you go.
Sometimes you got to dig a little bit. But if people want to dig even more into this, since this is a quick hit episode before Thanksgiving, where can they find you online?
Yeah, please find me all over social media under the name Matt Rushing02. Of course, here on the network, you'll find me doing Owl Post, which is a completed show with Drea Kaufman, as we talked about every single chapter of the Harry Potter series, one chapter at a time. You'll also find me over on the TFM network with a bunch of shows talking about all of the things we love, especially with the 602 Club, where we're touching on every franchise out there pretty much, plus a lot of Star Trek talk, so I hope you'll join us there. But John, if people wanted to catch up with you, where would they find you?
Well, you would look me up on our own version of the HoloNet under the name Castle Junkie on your social network of choice. I might be on it, I might not, but that's where you'll find me if I am. And you can find me here on the network co-hosting a show called House Lights with Darren Moser and Tristan Riddell, where we look at the work of directors through their careers and through time and all of those sorts of things. And we have a jolly good laugh. But Master Rushing, I've left my roasted Gungan in the oven a bit too long. I got to run back to the temple. So I think it's time to close these negotiations.
John, negotiations are closed.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.